Hello, welcome to the Johnny Come Lately's podcast. I am Monadrew. With me, as per usual, is
It's the dreaded Cambrian.
he's dreaded this time. We'll stick to the script.
Yeah,
Oh, how are you on this incredibly hot summer day?
I'm all right actually. I've just finished doing a bit of a train,
Hmm.
um, so
Oh yeah,
I was sweating buckets a little bit. Yeah, but I'm a bit better now. So I'm better having done it as well, which is pretty cool. I keep knocking this. Sorry. So if I wiggle,
that's
that's
fine.
why.
I
How are you?
I'm okay. Besides steps, I haven't done no training yet today, but because it is quite bright and nice, I'm thinking of going up jogging after this. So
Nice. Yeah, yeah.
that'd be pretty cool. Yeah, I had a fucking awfully lazy day yesterday. I did no training at all, except like steps and like 20 minutes on the exercise bike.
I mean, yesterday we went to visit some people because we can't do that now
Hmm.
currently for a moment. At a beach even. So we just
Oh,
walked
nice.
quite a long time. Yeah, we did quite a lot of steps, which is what I've been counting a little bit. Um, but yeah, other than that, I haven't really done much either.
Mm. We not only did I take a rest last night, we ended up ordering pizza as well, so that's not helped my waistline today.
Not too bad. Um, but yeah, how else have you been though?
Fine, like bank holiday weekend, so one hand it's really nice to be off an extra day. I don't have to be at work, and the weather's pretty good. On the other hand, there's not much open, so
No, true,
kind
true.
of kind of limited.
Yeah. Um,
But yeah, I'll probably head out for like a quick jog after this, at least just to finish my steps, and then it's Monday, so it means it's weights day, so I'll do those as
mhm.
well. They'll take maybe half an hour.
Yeah, yeah. I always feel like I should be doing more with that. Do you know what I mean? Like
Mm.
I don't know why that doesn't feel like an appropriate amount of time, but it probably is because you're kind of knackered.
Yeah, especially if you do stuff daily as well. I think it's perfectly fine to do it within like half an hour, even 20 minutes. Because
Yeah.
I don't know if you've ever like looked on like the NHS, like they've got like their BMI calculator on there, and yeah, BMI's questionable,
Hmm.
but like they ask you to put down your activity level, and I swear for like being active, it's something like like 1 to 2 hours of exercise a week.
Hmm.
But if you're doing exercise daily, like I do most of the time, you're well beyond that.
Yeah, you're doing at least one a day. With the steps, I don't really count the time that they take though, because
No,
for
me
me,
neither.
just walking isn't really an exercise, but it does burn calories, so it's worth
Hmm.
doing. But that takes. I kind of worked out that if you're just going at like a normal steady pace to get the 10,000 that I aim for, I know you do a bit more.
Yeah,
It takes just over an hour, really, like an hour and 10 minutes or so.
yeah, it's not too bad.
Um, yeah, so it's not that bad. But if you were to add that to the other stuff that you do, like if you're doing hits, which I did, and some weights, there's your 2 hours in one day rather than the week.
Yeah.
Um,
Now I just need to get my eating under wraps,
mm,
which isn't going to be the day because I'm making meatballs and bolognese. So
nice, nice. But I mean, obviously with this being a bank holiday in itself, this was kind of it wasn't an impromptu thing because we were going to record
hmm.
anyway, but we sort of thought very quickly about what we were going to talk about. And I don't know, have you managed to watch what it was we were going to
I
do?
did, yes.
Nice. I don't know if you want to get the ball rolling on it.
Could do. I did want to mention a few things that's kind of been happening at the moment, though,
Hmm.
if
Go
that's
for it.
okay with
Yeah.
yourself. Don't know if you've been paying much attention to the press on Cruella.
Oh no.
Um, there was a lot of Twitter discourse at the moment, and a lot of people, well, some people liking the movie. I don't think most people do.
Hmm.
But saying the usual predictable shit when you've got like a female lead character, like oh yes, slay queen, and that kind of
Hmm.
garbage. Um, but one of the things that did come out, bearing in mind I've not seen the movie, is apparently her bad feelings towards Dalmatians come across her mother figure having to been killed by Dalmatians when she was younger.
So that's kind of odd. Wasn't I don't know. I'm not a huge fan of that story or anything like that. But wasn't the original thing she just wanted a coat?
Yeah, yeah, it's just one of the skin puppies, and
I get it.
I, I don't, I don't, yeah, I don't know what they're going for. They're trying to do the whole redemption bullshit, or oh no, you don't
Mm.
understand. She's just misunderstood and hurt, and a lot of people can be comparing it to the Joker of all things, which
I don't know. Like,
nah, I don't know. I was actually gonna watch it, believe it or not, just so I can kind of
mm,
critique it on its own merit. But I went on Disney Plus this morning, and it's like
mm.
19 quid to rent.
Oh right. Oh God. I thought they'd just released it on Disney Plus. To be honest, never
Well, they
mind.
have, but you
Yeah.
have to pay for it,
Yeah. No,
like you
that
did
seems
with
a bit.
Mulan. And for 19 quid, I could actually go to the cinema for less.
Yeah. I mean, the one near us being advert for them, I'm sure it's like £5.
Yeah,
So if you're going to be disappointed, do it cheaper, I
yeah.
suppose.
And yeah, it wasn't worth me watching something I'm fairly sure I'm not gonna like. I mean,
Yeah.
if it turns out I like it, I will say it because I'm not going to be like that disingenuous like a lot of people, and I suspect some of the people heaping its praise probably are.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because, but nah, that's just not worth it. But that was kind of funny. If nothing else, there's been some pretty funny memes have come out of it, like people saying, "Oh well, wait till I get around to Jafar," and it's like, "Oh, his parents were killed by a street urchin and a magic lamp."
Yeah. Yeah. Christ.
But Christ, talking of movies, this also came up in the past couple of weeks. Did you know they were doing an Uncharted movie?
No, who's playing him?
Tom fucking Holland.
Oh, okay. Weird.
And Sully's being played by shit, what's his name? Mark Wahlberg.
Yeah. Weird.
I've seen one picture, and I don't know if it's going to be a flashback, but I don't think it matters too much because Tom Holland, especially, he could be 30 odd years old. He could be 40. He's still going to look like a fucking 18-year-old.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a bit of a freak.
And
God.
God, it's kind of weird because I'm kind of reminded a bit of the Alicia Vikander Tomb Raider movie, which is also getting a sequel for some fucking reason.
Somehow.
It's like when they brought that up because obviously it was based somewhat on the 2013 game,
Yeah.
but it was released like way later, and I don't know. I have a feeling the Uncharted kind of ships also kind of sailed. I don't know why they keep fucking making movies like this years later.
Yeah. Like when they did with the Mortal Kombat thing again.
Yeah,
That was quite recent.
but I wasn't aware anyone was talking about it.
No, it seemed to come out, and it is out, and some people started talking about it after having seen it, and I'm like, well, did I miss that hype or
Yeah,
what?
no, I've got no idea why they did it, and obviously they've been talking about The Last of Us again, like doing the screen adaptation of that, whether or not it's like going to be film or TV show.
Yeah, and
Again,
Borderlands as well. Mm.
again, Last of Us was big years ago. I can kind of slightly see why they may be wanting to push it now, just because of the whole bullshit about Part Two that happened last year,
Yeah, true, true.
and
I bet they're
people
doing a
still fucking hammering on about it now.
yeah, they're doing a Borderlands movie with Jamie Lee Curtis. Weirdly,
Okay,
I am a fan of Borderlands. I just don't see how that's going to fit in. Um, and they did a Monster Hunter movie of all things randomly last year. That seemed to just
really?
slip by.
Because
Yeah, with Mila Jovovich.
well, it slipped me by because I didn't even know it was out.
To be honest, the monsters in it look amazing, but it feels like they missed the point of the games like entirely. It's bizarre.
Did don't suppose you saw anything about the leaked Powerpuff Girls script as well?
Oh no, are they doing a live action of that?
Yeah, kind of. Well, there was this supposed leaked script that was making the rounds in the past week. they're older girls. They've been disconnected from their father. Like apparently he was controlling and a
Mm,
man.
mm,
And one of them, at least one of them's bisexual and does nothing but like get drunk and sleep with people.
mm.
And they've all got some big axe to grind. And this was like pictures of this leaked script that was going around, and obviously it could be fake.
Mm.
But then they started getting like copyright claims on everyone who was talking about the script,
Jesus.
which kind of suggests it was probably real.
Oh man. Oh dear.
And apparently it was, but they're pulling it because apparently this script was like even it was bad enough that like even the CW decided that they kind of wouldn't want to make that as the pilot episode. So
Mhm.
but that's other
Mm.
bullshit we've got to look forward to. Also, to bring race into it because apparently the original Powerpuff Girls cartoon in universe is just based on their lives, but it was whitewashed.
Mhm. Yeah.
Probably by the patriarchy, because that old
Yeah.
chestnut.
Strange. Yeah, that's bizarre.
But yeah, that's about all the movie news going on at the moment. I just kind of felt like I had to mention it because it's been kind of popular going around.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, obviously, this one, if it's not too much trouble, obviously, as well, I'm gonna have to keep it kind of short because I have got to do something a little bit later today, and that's why I wanted to squeeze one in with you
It's no
because I don't want to
problem.
miss a week. But I do know if you don't mind me announcing what it was that we did watch for y'all.
Yeah, yeah.
Unless you had any other news that wasn't movie related as well.
Not really. There is one other thing I watched yesterday, and it kind of brought up a weird point. I watched the Leaving Neverland documentary.
All right, okay,
And
yeah.
I don't know, how do you feel about the whole Michael Jackson thing and whether or not he molested kids?
I'm kind of vague on the whole thing, to be honest, but I think he was definitely damaged in
Yeah.
some way. Yeah.
So,
Um.
God.
Yeah.
I remember when the Martin Bashir documentary came out, like 20 years ago. And that was
Yeah.
like around the second time he was getting these accusations and how he would sleep in the bed with children, but like
Yeah.
innocently, supposedly. Anyway, since then, I think I might have even mentioned on a previous podcast years ago, I'm one of those people who are kind of like, I just don't know, so I don't really say one way or the other.
Yeah. I'm the same. I haven't
But
looked into it.
the
So.
the two guys who the documentary was about, assuming they're not lying, then they were pretty fucking convincing.
Hmm.
And a
Hmm.
lot of what they say does kind of line up with other stuff. And
Yeah.
yeah, the reason I watched that though, kind of why I wanted to bring up, it was kind of brought up an issue about censorship and self censorship. And
Hmm.
that's the Simpsons showrunners have actually pulled the episode of Michael Jackson on it.
Have they?
Yep.
Ah.
If you remember that one, it was kind of a famous one about Michael
Yeah.
Jackson voiced some mental patient pretending to be Michael Jackson.
Yeah. Yeah. I actually watched that last year on Disney Plus. So if they pulled it, it was recent.
Yeah, they've done it only recently, and the reason is apparently due to some of the investigation around that documentary and during the making of that episode, like Michael Jackson made some comments about hoping his guest turn on The Simpsons will help help the children and like maybe bring some children towards him, and what I assume was supposed to be said in an innocent way.
Yeah.
But now, since the Leaving Neverland documentary, these showrunners themselves have actually decided to completely pull it from transmission, and it's no longer going to be on any future release.
Oh, fair enough.
But
So I mean, if you've got a DVD with that on it, you might have a collector's
which
item
I
now.
do, so that's one thing.
Yeah.
Uh,
Damn.
but yeah, like it was kind of an interesting question because are they kind of right to do that?
I see what you mean. Like there was nothing at the time, nothing was done. I don't know. That's a grey area for me.
It's great, and it's kind of interesting because yeah, they're within their rights as being the owners of the show to pull an episode if they want to.
Yeah.
But he is dead, so if he was using his publicity from it for nefarious purposes, he's no longer benefiting from it.
Yeah, exactly.
And
Yeah.
I don't know about you. I think you probably feel a bit similar to me. Like I'm kind of really against like burying the past, especially when it comes to media stuff. Like
Hmm.
whether it's like just censorship or actually, yeah, it's usually just for censorship and things like that. It's like this was a cultural thing.
Yeah.
Anyone who watched The Simpsons knows that episode, and it did have like a wider impact. Perhaps for the wrong reasons, or like at least it was pushed for the wrong reasons in hindsight. But
Yeah.
yeah,
And we've all seen it and we all remember it. So to take it off, it's just like I don't know. It's like I remember it.
yeah,
It's damage, if any, has already been done.
and he's not benefiting from it anymore.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and his estate wouldn't even be as well.
No, but it's a weird one because at the same time, like his victims are still alive, so it's
Yeah.
a bit of a funny one. But no, I just thought I would bring it up because it's kind of an interesting contrast to what I usually bitch on about when censorship, which is like an absolute no all the time. Since kind of a grey.
Yeah, exactly.
But
Yeah.
as pointed out by another YouTuber who brought this to my attention, actually, if you really want the episode and you don't own the DVDs, you can find it. It's not like buried. It's just they're not showing it anymore.
Yeah. No, I'm sure those DVDs, if you really want them, are still cheap because they were so mass produced.
Oh God, they were. I
Um,
bought mine for like £3.
yeah, exactly.
But yeah, it's probably all the entertainment news. A few other things happened, but I might do a bit more research on them and kind of get back. I just kind of wanted to bring them up since they were fairly current.
Fair. Yeah, absolutely. And when it does come to that whole case thing, as we mentioned there, just to kind of recap on it, because I just don't know enough, I tend not to give
Mm-hmm.
my opinion because that's exactly what it would be. There's people out there that'll like gospel
Mm-hmm.
say he definitely did or he definitely didn't. You got no reason for that.
Yeah.
Like if you've watched that Neverland thing that you've worried about there and you've come to the conclusion it does feel a little bit sinister, that's as far as it really goes.
Yeah.
Um,
And this we mentioned OJ Simpson, I think, probably in the last episode as well. It's one of those things where, given the accounts on this documentary, I do kind of believe them, but from like a legal standpoint, no
you can see
forensic
why.
evidence.
Exactly. You can see why he did actually, if he did anything,
Yeah,
which he probably did, get away with it. So yeah,
but
it's a whole Chewbacca thing, obviously.
no. I mean, hashtag believe all. I believe them, but I will just admit that's kind of my belief.
Mhm.
If you don't, then you're perfectly valid not to, because beyond testimony, there isn't other evidence.
Exactly. Using this same information we both looked at, you've come to a different conclusion. Okay, fair.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that doesn't change anything. It never will. Just your opinion of this one guy.
Yeah, but anyway, depressing topics, depressing
Yeah.
recent topics out the way. Let's go back to what we usually do and talk about something way past its time.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hence the name of the show. um, so yeah, we had a bit of a conundrum of what to watch this week, and I think I kind of settled on just a random one. I don't know if it was your idea or not, or mine,
Mm.
but
I think you gave me a list, and I
yeah.
picked one that I'd seen.
So went with Kong, and I'm not talking Kong versus Godzilla.
Mm.
Not even talking original Kong versus Godzilla. I'm talking about 1933's King Kong because, unlike you, I'd never seen it.
I was surprised when you told me, to be honest with you, because you've seen the 1954 Godzilla,
Oh yeah.
and Kong it's the very very first kaiju film,
Mm-hmm.
but it didn't have that title. That sort of came up when Godzilla arrived.
Kaiju before kaiju.
Yeah, he's like the Black Christmas to Halloween slasher
Mm-hmm.
or something like that. It's a cultural phenomenon, definitely. So I don't know if you want to give a brief overview of the synopsis of
All
a daily
right. Well,
review
in
even.
case you were living under a rock, I'll go ahead because it's the same with me. I'd never seen it until now, but it's like it's just so a part of our culture.
Ingrained, yeah,
Yeah, that you don't have to have seen it. You know through references and people talking what it's about already.
and parodies.
Yeah, parody. Oh God, parody especially. The one that comes to mind was the Simpsons King
Yeah,
Homer parody.
which is one of the best parodies I've seen, to be honest.
Oh yeah, I'll go into it, but they even like recreate some of the like exact scenes and camera angles, which was kind of
Yeah,
amusing.
yeah.
But yeah, yeah, okay. Synopsis. It was made in 1933, so let's just say it was also based around that time.
Hmm.
Um, Ambitious filmmaker hires a crew and a actress to go to this island where there's been like legends of a great monster or god or something. Find this tribe and discover that this mythical monster, just like the filmmaker hoped, was real, and it is King Kong, this giant. Would it be right to say ape?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And a gor- yeah, he's a gorilla, but
Mm,
that's one of the apes. So
yeah,
I don't know why I was struggling there because I was also thinking about how dinosaurs exist as well.
yeah. Oh,
Um,
oh god, yeah. The first monster you see, the first huge monster you see, is King Kong himself. So we'll get over that giant ape-like creature who I think you suspect they're gonna sacrifice this woman, this actress who came along with them, but then he just kind of takes her away. So
yeah,
I don't know if that's normal for him or he just I don't know. You definitely felt, yeah, through the course of the film, you do definitely do see the creature has some affection for this human woman.
well, on the very first still, because with it being a 1933 film,
Yeah.
it was just coming out of the silent era.
Oh, spoilers for a 90-year
Yeah,
old movie.
yeah. So the very first things like a frame with text on it, and I think the quote's something weird like, oh, I think it was from Frankenstein or something. To be honest with you, where when the monster saw beauty,
Mm,
it stopped its attack or something like that. So I think that the idea was that King Kong had fallen in love with her for some reason,
yeah.
which is weird because she was so incredibly beautiful or something.
Mm-hmm.
Um, what's her name? It's Anne, isn't it?
Yeah.
The female character. So I think that that's kind of what they're hinting at.
Mm-hmm.
Though I don't think Frankenstein did fall in love with a woman in the novel, but still.
I
Uh,
know in some adaptations he does. I'm not sure
yeah.
about the original novel because I haven't read it yet.
Hmm. Um, but yeah, I mean, you kind of nailed the synopsis. That's pretty much
Yeah.
it. That if ambitious filmmaker wants to make a film with a real monster in it, turns out the monster is real. There's a weird tribe as
Mm-hmm.
well. That's you seem to worship him as a god, which I get.
Yeah.
I'll be honest. And they end up capturing it, taking it to New York,
Mm-hmm.
and the rest is cinema history. I don't know. I don't think I should worry about spoilers too much, but if you don't know, I won't give the end away.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
Norman Bates is his own mother.
Damn.
It's like one
Weird.
of them, though, isn't it? Like everybody knows the end if you've not even seen the film.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. Unless the only parody you've seen is the Simpsons one, in which case they get married at the end.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, you kind of touched on it there when you mentioned monsters. King Kong isn't the only monster on the island. There's apparently dinosaurs just running around,
Yeah,
which is
yeah.
one of those like wonderfully like kind of impossible things I just love from movies and games. Just that's just dinosaurs.
Just they're there, and they're not even that amazed that there's dinosaurs.
Yeah, I like because I think the first other creature they see besides Kong is a Stegosaurus, if I'm remembering correctly. And, like
Yeah,
the first reaction is like, "Huh, shoot it."
yeah. It's also grossly out of scale.
Oh yeah.
Like it's enormous for a Stegosaurus. And I noticed the scale does change an awful lot in the movie. Kong himself's quite consistent,
Mm-hmm.
but the dinosaurs themselves from scene to scene will change in size, which is very typical of stop motion.
Yeah.
Um, and if I'm not mistaken, I think Harryhausen cut his teeth on it on the movie.
Mm.
He wasn't the main animator on it, but he did the incredibly famous Tyrannosaurus scene.
That was the best monster fight.
Yeah, and it's that whole bit because apparently it took Harryhausen it was 2 weeks to do that 30-second scene, um, which is incredible, really, because it looks mint.
Mm-hmm.
Even now when I was watching it back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry, it's just silence. I thought you were going to say something.
Oh no, sorry.
um. Yeah, I mean, obviously it's stop motion, so one of the issues with a lot of stop motion is there will sometimes be this little jerky action.
Yeah,
I mean, I've seen some stop motion animations where they kind of avoid that. Weirdly, I don't know if it's just a technique or a time or even like maybe a film edit thing.
yeah,
Like maybe that's something that's fixed in digital these days when they do occasionally do stop motion features.
yeah,
But yeah, despite it obviously being stop motion, the effects are still like pretty damn good for the most part. I mean, they're not going to convince you like it's
yeah.
completely real, but this film's almost 90 fucking years old.
But it's going to entertain you, like definitely.
Oh yeah, and I think what actually surprised me probably about the film is the most is it seemed weirdly more modern than I
Yeah,
thought it was going to. Because
yeah,
there's only one other like film with sound I've seen from around this period, and it was a few years before, and it was All
mm,
Quiet on the Western Front, which I think was 1929.
mm,
And there's a weird like the quality between that movie and King Kong, despite there only being like 4 years difference, is like quite huge.
yeah. It must have been a massive budget.
Probably, but like even just things like acting, like on All Quiet, they're in front of a camera and it's film, but the
Yeah,
acting in it is almost like stage acting where it's slightly stilted and
yeah,
they're enunciating like very loudly as if to an audience sometimes, and there's
yeah,
just something often unnatural about it. Yeah, whereas Kong, it's just like any other fucking movie you've seen in the past decades.
yeah. The acting on it is pretty solid, to be honest with you. And I'm surprised that some of the actors in it didn't really go on to become big names.
Mm-hmm. But
Faye
yeah.
Ray, it being the lead lady in it, is
Mm-hmm.
the only name that's kind of continues on. But I blame most of that to like the Rocky Horror Picture Show because they make reference to her. If it wasn't for that, I don't think many people would honestly remember her name. And she's only remembered for King Kong. She's probably worked in other things, but that is, I mean, that'll do you. To be
Yeah.
fair, like,
But yeah, you mentioned something about like the money that must have went into it, which is clearly a thing.
mm,
And I don't actually know too much about the behind the scenes stuff.
mm.
Don't suppose you may know a little bit more, just because like monster movies is one of your things.
I just know mostly like how they got some of the sound effects. Like King Kong's roar is a mixture of, I think it was a bear and a lion.
I can hear the bear in it because I was recently watching some stuff about bears by coincidence.
Yeah, but it's like a weird mix of them together. I think reversed or
Mm-hmm.
something like that. And it actually works. It's very effective. I think they continued that sound in the '70s remake that they
Mm-hmm.
did, which was awful.
Which I've also
Um,
not seen.
yeah, they did a sequel to that one as well. It was awful. But instead of the building that he does climb up, it was the Twin Towers.
Ooh,
So you'd be hard pushed to find that now. Yeah,
that makes that shockingly more dated than the original.
yeah, exactly. Because the I forget the building that he climbs in the original.
Was it the
It's not
Empire
American.
State?
It is, yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
because that's still there now. Even but obviously the towers aren't.
And at the time would have been pretty new.
Yeah, exactly. It was the tallest building as well, and I think that'll be why they modernized it to the new tallest buildings.
Yeah, yeah.
But he never really changes in size an awful lot. I was actually watching a comparison of King Kong's size changes. The biggest ones is when he fights Godzilla.
Mm-hmm.
So in the '60s one, he has that was like his second biggest ever appearance, like ever throughout 90 years of cinema. And he hasn't appeared in an awful lot of films for that amount of time, where Godzilla's obviously had about
Yeah.
32 films now. Kong's had about five, which is odd. Maybe six
Mm.
with the new one that's come out, but that's the biggest Kong has ever been. Like, and by a large margin, you could stack Kong on top of himself. In every other iteration, it still wouldn't be as tall as the Kong in that movie.
Mm.
But everyone remembers him being as imposing and as big as Godzilla. He really wasn't,
No.
which is why it was a surprise to me because I have seen the new Kong vs Godzilla to see him to scale, which was so weird. Because otherwise, Godzilla would have stepped on him.
Yeah. It's impressive though, like considering how few films Kong has like been in comparison to Godzilla yet. obviously made such a fucking impact that everyone knows who King Kong is.
Yeah, I think it might honestly, and I'm going to sound like I'm criticizing it a little bit. It could just be something to do with interest.
Mm,
Where if you look at 1954's Godzilla, the creator Ishiro Honda and the costume designer came together and wanted to make like a really scary monster. So they took a T Rex and a Stegosaurus, melted them together, and give him fire breath, and he looks mint. King Kong's just a giant gorilla. So I
hmm
think it might honestly be something to do with that because you can do a lot more with your own creation.
Yeah.
With a huge gorilla, you're kind of limited. That's not to take it away. I think he's pretty cool.
Oh no, it does, and yeah, I know I'm monitoring and I'm usually in black and white for reasons I never really explain. It's just a personal thing, but I do. Well, part of it is actually just a love of black and white, especially '60s Doctor Who and a lot of older B movies.
Yeah,
So I do like films like that anyway. But I was genuinely just impressed how good and like how high quality King Kong actually is as a movie.
yeah. Well, I imagine it's been remastered to the eyeballs now, though, as well.
Oh, it has done, and I was quite pleased because I managed to download it for free off the Wayback Machine, the Internet Archive, archive.org, which I've gotten a lot of things from in the past.
Mhm.
Because it's quite good to get like public domain stuff or like some stuff which have just kind of fallen out of circulation, like certain VHS documentaries
Yeah,
and things
yeah.
like that. And so yeah, I downloaded virtually the whole film except it didn't have the last fucking 5 minutes on for some reason, so that was irritating.
Well,
I had
I'm
to
sure the last 5 minutes are on YouTube, probably.
no, I did. I had to go onto YouTube to watch it, and since we're not kind of spoiling it, I guess I'm not really going to talk about how it ends, though you almost certainly know anyway if you know anything about
Yeah,
it.
yeah. If you've ever seen a film,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah,
But no, damn, it was good, and yeah, remastered or not, and obvious stop motion, still totally invested in King Kong, and there was a lot of monster fights I noticed as well.
yeah. I think it spends a lot more time on the island than people imagine. So everybody remembers what happens at the end, so they
New
expect
York,
it to
yeah.
spend a lot of time in New York. I think he's there for like the last 10, 20 minutes, maybe.
I think it's 15 from what I remember looking on like the counter while I was watching it.
Damn. So yeah, with that in mind, it's kind of interesting to see that because have you seen the Peter Jackson one? Because they've remade it twice, 3 times now, technically.
Nah, I wasn't terribly interested.
Ah, well, I remember going to see that even and hearing all the reviews about how Kong doesn't appear for the first hour, and I couldn't believe. I was like, I mean, everyone knows he's just a giant gorilla. Why would you hide the
Yeah,
shark, as it were, on something like that? And it's true, they did actually. You had to wait over an hour to see Kong, and when you did, it was kind of a letdown. Where in this one, you're pretty much thrown in, which is quite nice.
I do like that. And
It takes a
Christ,
little while, but yeah.
obviously not everything was good in Hollywood back in the day, abuse, lack of health and safety and all that shit. But one thing I do really love about old Hollywood and was on display in this movie is just like the effort they put in to have like sets and
Mm,
extras, like the big wall that the tribe
yeah,
sort of rallied around, and the tribes themselves mostly being like real people apart from in certain effect shots. All that just looks
yeah.
so good.
And the props, some of the props are great. Like they've got a whole giant gorilla hand that Fairway has to stand in,
Yeah,
and the giant face as
the
well.
giant gorilla face, was which I think I thought on a couple of close-ups may have just been like a puppet or just zooming in the model, but then there's scenes where he's actually kind of chomping on a real human.
Yeah,
So they made a giant gorilla head.
yeah, and you've got that tribe guy who's stuck in his mouth, like thwacking at him.
Yeah.
So it's full scale. It's massive. It must have been much better to react to
Oh yeah.
as an actor, especially for Fairway being in the hand. I mean, some of the stop motion on the people's probably the worst.
That's kind of where you really kind of see the flaws in it, because especially
Yeah,
some of the movement, if he's like grabbing a panicking person, the arms like way too bendy.
yeah, yeah. She's gonna kick her legs off, like just. But no, I honestly, for me, the T Rex scene is just. I think that's probably what half inspired Godzilla.
Maybe,
because
yeah.
it looks so cool. There's even a monster in the Godzilla universe called um, oh, what is it, Gorgosaurus, who just looks almost exactly the same as that T Rex.
That's cool.
But it's a man in a suit still. They didn't do stop motion all of a sudden in the Godzilla Toho universe. Um, but yeah, no, it still boggles my mind when people go on about the new Kong vs Godzilla. Like, oh, I can't wait to see this. This is going to be the biggest fight of the. They've done it. They've already done it
Yeah.
before. Yeah, and
Uh,
we'll
yeah.
do an app on that actually.
No,
That'd be
no. One of
cool.
the other movies I downloaded was the original Kong versus Godzilla, and it was the Japanese version as well. So,
Nice, nice. I think there's a myth going around about that. Not to go into it too much because obviously we'll do an episode
no, no.
that there's multiple endings. There actually isn't. Everybody remembers it different. It's a bit like one of those. I can't remember what the effect is where people remember the pronunciation of words different.
Oh, Mandela effect.
A bit like that, yeah. So everybody, when they were growing up, because my dad was the same, and everyone that I've spoken to at his age always remembers seeing an ending where Kong wins, an ending where Godzilla wins, and an ending where they both walk away.
Mm-hmm.
Apparently, that's not a thing at all. There's just one ending, and I won't ruin it because I want you to watch it, obviously, as well.
Yeah, yeah.
And it actually got a sequel as well, which I won't ruin
Mm.
because it kind of gives the ending away.
Oh, we should talk about Gojira at some point, actually.
Yeah, I could do a whole series on that, though, to be honest.
Yeah, I haven't
But it
seen.
must have been nice to see Kong for the first time. It's one of those films that I'd love to be able to watch it for the first time again.
Yeah,
Like, forget it to see it now and see how I'd react to it now is just kind of awesome.
it was no, it was good, and obviously I appreciate a lot of older like TV and cinema and things. It's like one of the things I like, but even though I appreciate that stuff, I did have like somewhat low expectations on it. Like, okay, it's going to be an old movie. It's going to be wonky in some ways. Some of the acting's going to be poor. In comparison, obviously they're still working out how to make movies. No, it was actually really fucking solid.
I think it paved the way for a lot of movies that followed it, to be
Mm-hmm.
honest. So it did it so right that a lot of, especially with the likes of, because obviously Ray Harryhausen, I do believe, did do that scene. I should have looked into it.
Mm-hmm.
But he didn't do the full movie. And you
Yeah.
can kind of tell because Kong himself does, you'll notice like his fur moves constantly because it was clearly a fur puppet. So
Yeah.
the puppeteer is like moving the fur. Harryhausen probably would have tightened that up a little bit because he was just a god. But I remember growing up watching the likes of Jason and the Argonauts and things, and that was my introduction to that sort of love. I think I watched King Kong after that. So all of a sudden, you've got a giant gorilla fighting the T Rex because I was obsessed with dinosaurs at the time. I was sold. But I
Mm-hmm.
remember watching it at such a young age with me, going back a little bit to what you were saying, you watching it for the first time now. My first view, I can't remember what my thoughts were because I was just trying to skip to the monster bits. I
Mm-hmm.
didn't care about the people. I was so little. I just wanted to see King Kong knacker somebody. I don't even think I cared about the relationship between him and Anne.
No, I don't. I don't usually fact check. Well, I do sometimes. I thought I'd quickly look up Harry Housing. No, he was actually 13 years old when it came out.
Well, it wasn't him then.
But it was it
uh,
was a massive influence. He says, and like
aye,
he said, he went and watched it multiple times, and that's when he started. So it was an inspiration for Harryhausen.
damn. Well, that scene in itself is pretty cool, and I'm a bit sad it wasn't him now.
No, no.
But yeah, no, I'd love to do the Jason the Argonauts film as well. I just think
Oh,
it's
I have
class.
that too.
Yeah. But
I just remember the skeletons and that just being like
mm,
shockingly effective, and I
how it reacted to the people as well was
yeah,
so cool.
I
Oh,
can't work out in my mind. Obviously, I'm not a filmmaker or an effects filmmaker, so I don't know anyway. But I kind of struggle how they did that.
I couldn't tell you, to be honest with you. And I saw a documentary where he shows you, and I was
Hmm.
just like, I have no idea. There's a lot of screens, essentially a camera with loads of different glass screens, and
Yeah.
took ages. It must.
God, I mean, obviously you were talking about me watching it for the first time, and yeah, I really did love watching it.
Mm,
But can you imagine in 33 though
mm.
being a cinema goer and seeing something like that for the first time? Because
Bearing in mind as well, less than 10 years ago, people jumped out of the way of a moving train.
yeah,
Like that's crazy. Oh man, because
uh,
that's a very famous thing. If you don't know, you're listening in.
mhm,
Um, the, During the silent era, there was a lot of just short movies where just things happened
yeah,
because it was just such a new, novel idea that literally there was an entire 30, no, I think it's 33-second video of a train
mhm,
pulling in. And as it was coming towards the camera, the audience apparently would jump out of the way of the train because they didn't understand the moving picture.
yeah.
And you've got to fast forward maybe 20 years because you're looking at like 1919 or so then. All of a sudden, they've got this stop motion gorilla picking someone up.
Mhm.
So now those look choppy and weird with the fingers moving and the wiggly legs. Back then, it would have looked great.
God, just on a big screen as well. I kind of, maybe this never happened, but I kind of imagine there's got to be some instances where it's probably going to be a scale with the audience as well.
Yeah,
Just that
God,
would have looked so immense.
I think that was one of the things when he is chained up.
Hmm.
There's a full shot,
Yeah.
and if the screen was big enough, he would have been full scale. I remember growing up as well. They used to do Movie Maniac figures, and some of them were great because you could. And I wish I got them back when Woolworths was a thing, and I was a
Oh yes.
little kid, and I didn't have the money, and they were only like £10 each, which is cheap as chips.
That's where I got all my
Um,
alien figures from.
yeah, well, they had the Thing, they had Snake Plissken, Michael Myers, all of which now are ridiculously expensive. The only one I managed to get was the Thing, and it shattered to pieces when my cat jumped on it because they were brittle, those
Mm.
figures. But they did some special ones as well, and they were like scenes. And one of them is the shark at the end of Jaws sinking the boat with Quint about to jump into his mouth, and that looked so cool. It was just this huge diorama.
Oh
And the other
shit!
one
I
was
think I
King
know
Kong.
someone who had that.
Oh, they're worth a bloody fortune now. But no, the other one was King Kong, and it
Hmm.
was a monochrome figure stood there chained up, and it looked so cool on the stage as well. I think they went for about 40 quid then, though.
Oh
So
damn.
I know
No,
things I wish I could have got.
yeah, I love the film, and it's definitely one I'm keeping a watch again. Though I'm gonna try and either download or maybe just buy a copy of the full movie, so I don't have to fucking watch the end on YouTube again.
Yeah, it's odd that they cut that off, but yeah,
I'm guessing it wasn't
um,
intentional. I'm guessing they just uploaded it and like something dropped during the upload, and they just never noticed.
they probably thought everyone knows the end. Bollocks.
Yeah.
But no, I loved it. So I don't know if you wanted to give it a rating because I'm just noticing the time. I will have to
Ooh.
go on about the hour if that's all right.
Yeah, this is gonna be one of the shorter episodes.
Yeah,
Yeah, Christ rating. I'm gonna give it like a. Ooh, I'm honestly gonna give it a 9. Like,
nice. Yeah,
and
I would concur. Yeah,
I am
go on.
giving it like a benefit of a doubt for its time for some of the bits which are like a little less refined.
Yeah, yeah,
But I think if you ignore some of the jerkiness and like stop animation and just kind of accept that, which you should with movies anyway, you
yeah.
shouldn't be picking
Suspend
at
your
them
belief.
all the time. If you just take that for granted, the rest of the movie, like the plot, the acting, and like the action, it absolutely holds up.
Yeah, no, I would concur. I would give it a 9 as well. The reason being, it's not perfect.
Hmm.
For that time, it was definitely perfect. But there's films I would rather watch. So the way I rate things is on replayability.
Yeah.
Maybe I've watched King Kong maybe once every 2 to 5 years, where I could probably rewatch something like Godzilla every year.
Hmm.
Um, that and the message that it conveys is a bit better in Godzilla to like Kong, things like that, because there's not
Yeah,
really a
yeah.
message in Kong, which is fine. Um,
The
and it doesn't
moral of
need
the
to be, as you were
story is
saying.
don't fuck with giant monkeys.
I mean, don't. Yeah, I mean, exactly. Um, but I love the film, and I think it's an important film for cinema
Yeah.
as well. So that's why it got such a high praise. The performance is solid. Yeah, the animation's great.
It's
The
completely
iconic.
earned its place in film history.
Yeah, and I think they refer to him as the eighth or ninth wonder of the world.
Hmm.
He absolutely probably is in terms of cinema because cinema changed since then
Yeah.
onwards as well. I mean, you've mentioned there, 13-year-old Ray Harryhausen. All of a sudden, a career was born,
Oh
and some
yeah.
of the greatest animation to this day owes to the likes of Ray Harryhausen. and technically now then ode to the likes of King Kong because he was inspired by that. Everyone's inspired by him. So you can't fault it. It's just great.
God, I'm kind of tempted to just go back and watch The Lost World as well, because that was even older and it did similar thing. Though from what I remember, it's a bit more refined and the effects are better in this.
Yeah, it is. And again, that's the main one I tend to go with when I talk about the scale of dinosaurs changing from scene to
Yeah.
scene. Yeah. Oh, it's poor. I mean, you've got to think as well, a lot later than this film, they did a lot of weird, schlocky horror monster movies
hmm
where they kind of just sellotape fins on lizards and have them fight against real
Oh
octopuses
shit!
and that. And
I saw one where they did that. What was the fucking movie again?
there's a few, to be honest with you. And
There was a Doctor Who story where they did that.
oh,
It was fuck, what was it? Oh, it was like I think it was like the second Delgado Master story as well.
oh no.
It's when they're on that other planet where there's like colonists and miners, and the Master's trying to get access to some super weapon. But there's
Mm.
this like giant monster that's being used to scare the colonists. I think it's literally just like an iguana on like a rear projector.
Oh God. But yeah, no, I think if they'd done that for Kong, if they got obviously not a gorilla, but if they'd done the dinosaur fights
Yeah.
like that, it would never have been anywhere near as popular
No, no, definitely
or
not.
an iconic thing. Unfortunately, there is a scene in Godzilla vs King Kong that you're going to watch, and it's not really a spoiler, in which the man in the suit for Kong in that one does fight a squid or an octopus, and I think for some of the scenes it's a real octopus. And you can kind of see it's like gasping for air at one point, and I think he slams the bastard down.
Oh,
It's like, ooh. So that's hard viewing. Already that's dropped a few ratings. Otherwise, it's fine.
hmm
But it always reminds me of Friday the 13th. Like, it's a great movie, but why did they have to kill the snake?
absolutely did not. It's just completely
Exactly.
unnecessary.
Yeah. Like, I love that movie, but every time I see that scene, I don't think it's Kevin Bacon. It's one of the other guys. I just think,
hmm
oh, was that necessary? You could have actually cut that scene out. The movie wouldn't have changed. You killed the snake for no reason.
Yeah, I mean, even if it was like plot relevant, it's just not necessary to do that.
Yeah. You could have done it off camera. Oh,
hmm
there was a snake in my cabin. I had to cut its head off.
That's
Same
honestly
effect.
probably why I will never watch like Cannibal Holocaust,
Hmm.
because
Yeah.
it's obviously it's infamous for like being so really gruesome and graphic, and even the director was
Realistic.
accused
Yeah.
of murdering the cast at some point because it looked so visceral and real.
Yeah.
That kind of doesn't bother me. I just don't want to see like all the needless animal cruelty from the fucking film.
Yeah. I'm sure there's a bit where they decapitate a cow for some
Yeah, I
reason.
think they kill a turtle again.
Mm.
No fucking reason. It's just for like a shocking scene of the tribes and.
You went to court for murdering those people. I feel like
Mm.
just going around killing animals should be a bit more of a felony
Yeah,
as
I don't
well.
think it's as much concern in Italy.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, I think when you mentioned the cow there, I think you might be thinking of Apocalypse Now because there is a cow sacrifice in that,
Oh, it is.
which
Yeah.
is grisly. But I think they may have been intending to kill the cow anyway, so I don't know if it's just the filmmakers took advantage.
Okay, that's fair.
But still, it's not a nice way to go, like being
There was
chunked.
one. Yeah, there was one Iron of Cross, I think it was, because one of my old friends used to really like war movies.
hmm
No, Cross of Iron it is. So look it up if you need to. I wouldn't bother. It's not very good. But at one point, they actually machine gun a cow, and it doesn't look real,
Mm.
but it is. And they boast about how they did that to show what it looked like, and it was hard watching, to be honest with you, knowing that that's what they did, because
That's
that yeah, it's for
if
no reason. Like, you wasted even meat if that's what you want. It's like
if you're like fortunate, like most of us are, to be in a part of a world where you're not like regularly exposed to like murder and cruelty like that in front of your face. Real life violence and like real life death can actually look kind of unreal
yeah, it's
because
bizarre.
it's not how you imagine it. I'm not boasting about like anything right now, but sometimes I go down these little rabbit holes, and there's a very famous like suicide that happened like on live TV in front of an audience, which was recorded. It was Bud Dwyer,
Mm.
American politician who like shot himself in front of an audience.
Hmm.
Out of curiosity, I kind of went around the rabbit hole in that, and I actually saw the footage because it is available, and you don't have to go into the dark web or anything for it. You can just find it if you look for it.
Jeez.
And that, like, seeing someone shoot themselves and die, like, just on camera, it doesn't even look real there, and it's like really
Yeah.
chilling
Yeah. God.
because it's kind of not how you imagine. It
Yeah.
sounds stupid because nothing stands out to make it seem unreal. I think it's just, I don't know if it's just the visceral shock or just like your brain just doesn't recognize it. I don't know.
Yeah.
So that was
But then
dark.
when you do realize, yeah, when you do realize that it is and has happened,
Yeah,
it just chills you a lot more, doesn't it? But
yeah.
yeah, I know it is going to be a shorter one, and I'm kind of sorry about that, but
No, it's fine.
I've got a lot planned. Sadly, with it being the bank holiday
Well, we could have
weekend.
recorded yesterday, but I think you were busy and I was lazy, so
No.
I'll do my way to get back to watching Smallville and go out for a jog.
Nice, nicely done. But no, it was glad to revisit Kong. Got a solid 18 out of 20.
Hmm.
That's probably one of the highest we've ever had, to be honest with you.
Yeah, if you don't
That's good.
if you don't mind older movies and classic cinema and you haven't seen Kong, absolutely watch it.
Yeah, I think I've mellowed in recent days in terms because at one point, if it wasn't the original, I used to hate it. If
Hmm.
it was a remake, I was just like, oh God, why are they doing that? And I do still now feel like there's certain films that remade, yeah, it's pointless. But I did watch when we were on about Jason and the Argonauts. There was another film which was a remake of another Harryhausen thing with a Kraken in it. I can't remember what it's
Clash of
called.
the Titans.
Yes, I saw the remake. Now I personally prefer the stop motion and things like that, but I'm not taken away from the CGI.
Hmm.
Like I've really loosened my hard hitting. I love old films and I'm happy to watch them and really just immerse in anything. But I've started appreciating the work that goes into modern films as
Yeah.
well. Like I used to hate when the first Godzilla came out in 2014, the newer one. It was mostly the design. I'll be honest with you. I thought it looked kind of cack.
Hmm.
I'm used to the guy in the suit. When King of the Monsters came around, I was actually like well behind it. When Kong vs Godzilla, when I went to see that, I loved it. It was
Hmm.
great. But I'll definitely not spoil that because you will eventually see it
Oh
probably.
yeah, yeah.
But what I'm saying is, if you don't mind, if you watch cinema at all, or you think you're a movie buff, you shouldn't never ever mind watching an early film as
No,
well. And this is a good example from where to start, probably as well.
no, absolutely.
Yeah,
Oh, and
but I'm
that
happy
also
to.
applies to other things like Night of the Living Dead. You should definitely watch the
Oh
original.
God, yeah,
It's been
I'd do
colorized
that movie.
before. There's versions where it's colorized, but yeah, you don't have to watch. Just watch it as
Oh
it,
yeah,
it was intended due to budgetary reasons and not for autistic reasons, as some people
yeah.
might want you to think.
I actually watched the colorized version not long ago when I was training one day. I thought I'll watch Night of the Living Dead because I hadn't seen it in a while.
Hmm.
Colorized version was on Amazon at the time. It's not anymore. Um, well, it is, but you have to pay. And honestly, I didn't like it as much. I
No,
think the black and white really adds to the starkness. So I think I got halfway through it and then watched the rest of it in black and white.
it's the same with Doctor Who. Years ago, like I remember in Doctor Who magazine, they had some images of like old classic scenes that colorized.
Mm.
And to be honest, they looked a little goofy.
Yeah, like the Delgado scene with he's got like a scarf and that on at one
Yeah,
point, I think.
and cyber like old school Cyberman shouldn't be in the same room with like beige and pink. It just doesn't.
No,
It just doesn't do anything.
no, because I think they were made with the black and white in mind as well. So that's how that's going to look in monochrome.
Yeah,
To then all of a sudden colorize it again, it just looks daft because it's not supposed to be seen that way. So I always suggest watching things, especially the likes of Night of the Living Dead, watch it in its original form. If
hmm,
you want to see what it looks like in color form, like I did, that's awesome. But watch the original first because you get the full effect, especially with something like Night of the Living Dead. If you've not seen it for whatever reason under that rock, where you've not seen King Kong as well.
oh god, even Star
Um,
Wars. If you haven't seen Star Wars and you're going to just watch the original trilogies,
mm,
as they were, or at least as close as they were
Yeah.
as possible. Like, don't start off with the remastered ones.
That does take away from me.
Yeah,
I've not slackened my grip on that that
yeah.
hatred, to be honest,
And
because it was so needless.
I know you've got to go, but while we're kind of talking about that, did you know when they were originally gonna like induct Star Wars into like the American Cinema Hall of Fame, like basically a repository where they keep historically significant movies?
Mm.
George Lucas sent them a remastered version, and they rejected it. And there was
Good.
a bit of a back and forth about them. It was like, well, why? This is the film I intended to make. It's like, yeah, but it's not the film that had that cultural impact.
Yeah. In fact, it's worse for it. Like,
Yeah.
it wouldn't have had the cultural impact if that's how it looked originally. Like
Mm.
Christ. But yeah, I agree. And again, just to recap, King Kong, if you've not seen it, like my co-host here hadn't, recommended highly.
Absolutely. It's not too long a film. I think it's an hour 40, so it's about like an average film length.
Yeah, exactly.
But
So I don't know if you want to take this opportunity to thank everyone
yeah,
for
thank you all for
listening.
listening. It's a quick one this time, but we've all got things we've got to do, and I'm also making videos again, so
Nice. Oh, I'll need to check up on this again.
I
I
haven't
watched
I
the
haven't
Titanic one.
I haven't posted any, but I've decided to do some more plays of like little games, like free to play games and some stuff on
Nice.
Steam. So
Nice.
yeah, I'll be getting on with that. But yeah, thank you all for joining us again. I hope you enjoyed our quick conversation about King Kong. Watch it if you haven't seen it.
Thank you very much.
All right, good night.
Bye bye.